gotta talk about the drones.
But whatever goes down, we'll be there, keeping a close eye on all the madness. This is the world of drones.
Very early in 2025, all hell is going to break loose. The volume of sightings, weird objects in the sky, it's off the charts. I am swamped by people sending me videos from all over the world. And it's not just in Bedminster, New Jersey. It's not just in the United Kingdom. It's India, Greenland, Russia, Kazakhstan, China, Japan. I cannot believe the volume of sightings that are going on at the moment. Something is showing itself in our skies. We are going to look back and we are going to say that the autumn of the drones was a turning point. This consistent sightings of drones over military facilities. It sounds like nothing at the moment, but I wager it's going to turn out to be enormous. I think 2024 in future will be seen, ironically, as the calm before the storm. A reckoning is coming.
These drones, just like the coronavirus in 2020, this is a novel thing. This is brand new. I've in my life, I've never seen anything like this. This has been happening though. This has been happening not just now, but it's been happening through other parts of history and other parts of time. But more importantly, in the United States, this was happening just this year. Drones flying over military bases and things like that. But this time something's different. Okay, so these drones showed up. People are saying that these drones more or less showed up around November 18th. I wasn't paying attention too much to any news reports of drones because of two reasons. One, the election and just winding down. After the election ended, but right up into the election, I was watching nothing but election videos and things like that. But then I started, the people that I was watching, there's a few people that I go to pretty regularly, Mod Tricka, Barry Stepp, people like that, VandalThawne. But I started noticing two things occurring. There was this one video that kept popping up, and I'll go over that here in a second before I show the video. But there was another thing that was popping up, is that these people, in between their reactions or their takes on things, they would say, I'm getting more videos than ever of UFO. People are sending me things, and then I started looking at other people's channels and things like that, and they were saying the same thing. People are sending me these videos like crazy, like what's going on? But it's not the same, it wasn't the same type of drones that are being spotted over New Jersey right now. These were just like anomalies, like true anomalies in the sky. The people were talking about the jellyfish drone and things like that. But right after the election, right after my brain washed, I guess, when of the election, all the details and all the craziness that went into that, there was this video that showed up of this guy, and his name was Cliff High.
Whistleblowers are breaking their silence and exposing what they've seen. Watch.
We had this.
So now this guy here, this is Cliff High. He's the one that actually created WebBot with George. He is the one that has the algorithms and the secrets that are saying that Trump would get elected in 2016, that Trump would be on Joe Rogan's podcast, and also that 39 days later, 2 days from now, we would have aliens and UFOs battling on Earth. So this is him actually explaining their theory.
Situation within the data in 2009 that had been reinforced over the years from 2009 through to 2015 that said that 39 days after this TM took place, we would have this visible contention that would dissolve into a melee.
So the TM is Trump on Joe Rogan's podcast.
But he wanted to say that it was 39 days to melee, which is a catchy phrase. Okay, it'd be a nice title for a book or something. But in my opinion, that's not quite accurate, right? Because we don't know what the distance is between the organized visible contention that then degrades into the melee. That might be months for all we know.
So basically what he's saying so far is that this event would happen. That was Trump being on the podcast with Joe Rogan. 39 days later, something would happen. His partner in this is saying that there's going to be a melee. He's saying we don't know if there's going to be a melee first or there's going to be some kind of visible event. For example, the UFO and aliens coming to the planet first and then it eventually ending up in a melee.
But what we do have some justification for suggesting is that there will be 39 days between the temporal marker of the Trump interview and the appearance of this visible contention. And we're not talking, people taking on migrant gangs that are taking over apartment buildings. That kind of visible contention may well be in there, but the stuff that had been motivating me to get hold of Dick Allgaier was the visible contention between space aliens.
So he just came out and said it. This visual contention that the algorithm pushed out, he's specifically saying was aliens.
Now we've got that same set of linguistics again, and apparently we have confirmation that the interview will take place, and therefore we'll have it as a temporal marker itself. I am alluding to the possibility that there's a short period of time between barely over a month between the temporal marker and the visible contention that will appear in the skies that from the descriptors we had back in 2009 will go to the idea of UFO versus UFO and UFO versus jets.
So he just flat out said that this is supposed to be a UFO versus UFO or a UFO versus fighter jet battle. That's supposed to happen in 2 days, according to this webbot that they created that has been accurate in other predictions, including Trump getting elected.
I was waiting for something to happen. I was looking in the skies, like with many people on December 3rd, trying to find out, is something going to happen? Little did we know that it was already going on. The drones started showing up, especially over this past week, because people are getting angry. People are getting pissed, and if the government won't give anybody an answer, people are just taking anyone's advice. I think it was Trump got, and a lot of people listen to Trump. Trump was like, shoot him down. I don't think he was telling everyone to shoot him down, just like other things that he said in the past. I think that people are standing by their phones and televisions, salivating, waiting for someone to tell them what to do. Trump speaks with confidence, but I don't think he intends that everyone take him so seriously all the time. He's just trying. He's a problem solver.
Hello. Good to see you. Thank you. Good to see you. Good to see you.
He's a resolution guy. He wants to just give me the thing. So starting here, when after the December 3rd thing, and then I was like, okay, that was a bust, the Cliff High thing, that really didn't happen. But then I started noticing around December 8th, more drone sightings. And then this is where I started. Because I already know that anything I look into, I've already gone into it thinking, I'm going to try to prove everything. And then I'm going to try to prove nothing. And then I'm going to find out that it's a little bit of everything. Usually.
Who can never be sure.
Extraordinary.
So my first step in the process was be reasonable. And so I was like, well, you know what? If I want to see what a drone guy has to say about these drones. I mean, he probably knows. I mean, because there was all sorts of videos coming out where you had things that didn't look like drones, and then you had things that did look like drones. And then it looked like the things that did look like drones looked like it was a ton of drones. And then you have government officials saying that these are manned, majority of them are manned, and then they're registered or something like that. This is the confusion that I'm talking about that made me really want to dig into it. So approaching this, all I had going into it was the Cliff High video. Approaching it, I wanted to start with the conservative approach, which was I want to find out who the main drone guy is on YouTube. and I want to find out what he has to say. Luckily, I found the guy from 51 Drones, and I liked what he had to say because it seemed based. And it also kind of echoed a lot of what other people were trying to say.
Let's visit. Let's help educate the public. It is perfectly legal to fly a drone at night when following FAA guidelines for doing so. Many of these drones you see flying a drone at night are people flying a drone at night. There are close to 1 million registered drones in this country, and there are estimates that barely half of all drone owners actually register their drone with the FAA. This means that there are most likely about 2 million plus drones out there, and people are flying them more than ever. They're becoming more popular. There's more commercial use of drones. It's just exponential on drone use. I guarantee you that since this story broke, just about every person that owns a drone in New Jersey has went out and flown their drone at night. The more news reports that come out and the more we see it on social media, the more people are going to add to the fire by putting their drone up. Now, I'm sure many of those aren't registered, they aren't following the rules, and this is what so many people are seeing. Now, what about the reports of sightings near military installations? That's pretty concerning, right? These are people flying their drones near military installations. Is this dangerous and illegal? It's very, very illegal, yes. But since when has law stopped people from doing things? Most military bases and critical infrastructure around our country have what's called a geozone around their perimeter. This is basically an invisible wall that prevents some drones from flying into that airspace. For instance, the world's largest drone manufacturer, DJI, is the only company that adheres to these geozones. If you try to fly a DJI drone over a military installation or critical infrastructure, you can't. It won't let you. Your drone will stop in midair like it hit a wall. No other company does this. So if there's a drone flying over a military base, it's either a hobbyist with a non-DJI drone that they got off the shelf or maybe off of Amazon for a couple $100, or it's our own military flying their own drones. Some legislators are convinced that this is our own government testing out counterterrorism activity, and they are not being honest with the American people. The Department of Homeland Security and the FBI have stated that there should be no concern. There's no risk of public safety. Well, how would they know that? And why would they state that? Tell me why you're saying that.
Some may be from hobbyists, but certainly the ones that we're seeing are not. They could be commercial, but if they're commercial, our government should know about it. And they should also know that they're violating FAA airspace, which says you cannot fly between sundown and sunrise. And that's when most of these objects are coming out.
Incredibly ignorant to not get the facts before you go off on national news and get people riled up.
Wrong number!
People think our federal government knows something, but they aren't telling us. And that is why so many people are upset, and it's just why there's so much fear about this situation. People want transparency and they want openness from our government, and it's pretty obvious that they are not sharing everything that they know.
This is happening. So they need to get, they should be scrambling something up here, figure it out. I'm surprised they haven't put a plane up just to say, here's what we've done. But to see no response, no federal response is truly upsetting. And the longer this goes on, as I mentioned before, someone is just going to take matters into their own hands.
So with everything that he had to say, which was totally based, and I appreciated that, it's hard to tell now what is real, especially with the AI and things on the internet. It's hard to tell what's in the sky. So obviously my next thing was, if I'm starting off base, good, 51 drones, perfect. But then I found this guy, Chase Hughes. Now, Chase Hughes has his own channel. He has all this stuff. This guy is from what I have known about him, found out about him, this guy's like a true blue trying to help people. I don't know if he's already made his money in life or whatever, but he's just giving information away that is pretty mind-blowing. Okay, so Chase Hughes, he's a prominent behavioral science expert, and he's a former U.S. Navy officer. And he has 20 years experience. He's a best-selling author. The dude's a renaissance man when it comes to psychological. He's truly a professional in his profession. He's worked with everyone from the military to Fortune 500 companies, and so he's done things in service, and he's also made people probably a ton of money. There's two parts to this next video. One where he's kind of given his take on it, and it goes into more of like the psyop stuff that is, people are feeling it. I mean, we just had like hardcore psyops on us for.
Oh, and Francine? Don't say it.
I'm nervous that it's going to scramble some people's brains and people aren't going to be thinking rationally anymore, regardless of what is presented to them anymore, because of just natural psychological fatigue to all this. I mean, there's psychological operations that are occurring right now. Even if there's a real event occurring, like physical drones in the sky, it doesn't mean that someone can't take that and turn it into a psychological operation that gives an advantage to some sort of group or organization or corporation.
Are we in the middle of a psychological operation right now? There are thousands of drone sightings.
I've never seen so many UFOs in my life.
And more weird stuff every single day.
Were they human or non-human?
Non-human.
We are not alone.
You deserve to know how to tell what the hell is going on. And I just did a very confidential talk to my inner circle last night. But I think that you need to see this.
People within the U.S. government believe it's true.
The world deserves the truth.
Growing number of drone sightings.
They are non-human, higher intelligence.
The unidentified aircraft are the size of cars.
It's like the classic UFO that you would see online.
A lot of people are wondering what the hell is going on. But what if I told you that the most dangerous thing is happening, but it's inside of your head? If you just think about it for a second, there's decades of silence on UFOs, and now suddenly the government is obsessed with talking about them. I want to show you exactly tonight what the plans and motivations are if this is being done on purpose. And then I want to walk you through a foolproof way on how to spot public manipulation. I'm also maybe going to talk about what to do if it's actually aliens. If you don't know, I'm the guy that trains PSYOPs. I'm the person that teaches this kind of stuff to companies and stuff. So the government's kind of gone from decades of denial to throwing around terms like UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, in official hearings. Add to that this sudden rise in reports of drones all over the place, these weird sightings and emergency declarations that are going on, I think in New Jersey right now. And it feels like we're being prepped for something. But what are we being prepared for? So let's dig in. So why would this be happening right now? So we're going to go both sides. It's aliens, it's not aliens. Let's do both sides here. Most governments don't just usually open up about things like this without a reason. With all governments, when they start pushing a narrative, it's most often to serve a bigger agenda if this is deliberate. So here are three possible reasons I can think of why this might be happening. Number one, a distraction tactic. When huge issues are brewing, like economic instability, political unrest, global crises, somebody's done something bad and it's about to get in the news, governments usually and very often create some kind of distraction. So remember when the Pentagon released UFO footage in 2020. That conveniently happened during a global pandemic, this chaotic thing that was going on around the entire world that we all suffered through. Number two, using fear as a tool. So fear unites people. So if there is a threat big enough, and I want you to remember, if you're just listening to me right now, I'm sitting on your kitchen counter or something like that and you're making dinner, I said the word threat with huge quotes around it. If there's a threat big enough, like UFOs, people are more likely to trust their leaders, give up freedoms, and rally behind whatever solution that they're offered. It's the same playbook used during the Cold War. This was called the Red Scare for that reason, or post 9/11 with the War on Terror and the Patriot Act. And then number 3, testing the waters. This goes back to BC years. All 3 of these things go back to the BC years. This is not something that's original. So governments tend to test and gauge how people react. So if we accept UFOs as real and we don't freak out, that means we can kind of escalate the narrative without any pushback. So think of it like kind of a slow drip instead of pouring it all out at one time. And if you want to look back at some of these historical parallels, this is not the first time this has happened. There's just a few that come to mind right now. The first is the Gulf of Tonkin. This happened in 63 or 64, 1963 or 64. The United States used extremely questionable reports of attacks on naval ships, which were not true, to justify escalating this Vietnam War. And then in 1962, we had this thing called Operation Northwoods. This is a declassified plan about the U.S. officials staging, quote, fake attacks, completely fake attacks, like blowing up planes with people in them to justify military actions against Cuba. And in the post 9/11, what I would call a fear campaign. So after the attacks, governments push for these just sweeping changes like the Patriot Act, which expanded massive surveillance under the guise of terrorism. So if you just replace terrorism or communism with UFOs, you can start to see a pattern. So what might be happening? What might be happening right here? It might upset you, it might piss you off, but we're going to talk about that in just a second. So keep that in your back pocket for just a second. Number 1 is a normalization phase. So just steadily leaking UFO footage, holding hearings, using all these terms like UAPs all the time. The government makes the idea of something out there seem reasonable. So this keeps people curious, but not panicked. Curious, but not panicked. The second part of this is setting the stage for a big reveal. And I want you to keep that one in mind. So at some point, we might see a more dramatic event, like a giant UFO sighting over a major city, or footage that is just impossible to dismiss. And you could think giant holograms, giant drones, or other advanced tech just creating something that you cannot ignore. So number 3 would be a need for a savior. So once the threat feels real enough, governments or even global coalitions could step in as these heroes. They might call for increased defense budgets. Maybe all the governments in this area need to unite into one big government. Maybe a global response team, and I say that with quotes around it, to handle this threat. So this could lead to giant power shifts and more control in fewer hands is kind of maybe the goal of that. And this, you could look this up. There was even a plan to stage a fake kind of alien invasion. This is on record on paper that there was a full government plan to make a fake alien invasion. But what could be next? What could be down the pipeline from right now? If we follow this theory to the logical next step here, here's what might happen. First would be escalating UFO reports. Expect a lot more sightings, near misses with airplanes, mysterious objects interfering with infrastructure like power grids or airports. It's going to feel real and urgent. The next would be a media blitz that would come after that. So mainstream media will amplify the story. They're going to interview pilots. They're going to release grainy videos and have experts explain these things that are maybe defying physics. The goal, potentially, and I say all of this as a potential hypothetical, to make everybody believe this is a huge deal. Next would be a global event, and this could be something absolutely wild, like some kind of coordinated UFO appearance, maybe a simulated attack, or even some claim that we've made contact. And it doesn't have to be real, it just has to be believable enough. And of course, then we have a solution. So after the chaos, governments might roll out solutions like new defense initiatives, new military spending, government coalitions, governments kind of coming together, expanded surveillance maybe, and calls for like some international cooperation. All right, so why should we care? Even if all this theory sounds way the hell out there, the technologies exist to make all of it plausible. Plausible. So holograms, drones, AI, deep fakes are advanced enough to fool large populations. And historically, going back to the year 1 AD, governments have shown that they're not above manipulating fear to get what they want. So now we get to what do we do? What the hell do we do about this? Number one, stay frickin' critical. Do not take everything at face value. Always question why some stories are getting so much attention, and most importantly, who benefits from that story. And educate yourself. You need to look into historical precedents, maybe current technology. You could just use ChatGPT for a lot of this, and some government strategies. So the more you know, the harder it is for you to be manipulated. Focus on reality. So of course, this is nothing but conjecture. I'm just sitting here at my house. We've got a bonfire going on outside. We're about to go sit outside for a little while and just enjoy nature around a fire like our ancestors did. And I don't know anything. I don't know anything more than you do about what's going on. So the sky's the limit for this conjecture, but maybe it's theatrics. But remember that not every light in the sky is some alien. Stay very grounded in what's provable, and know that getting angry at things that are outside your control is stupid. It's just like drinking acid.
2024 was a year of cover up and uncover. I mean, the fact that our elections, you had Biden dropping out after that.
The total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
That's the wrong number.
You had his own party pulling him. And now you have staff, and you have people that are starting to, what is the expression? Tell tales out of school.
Well, here's the tea. Joe Biden is like dead. He cannibal to say a sentence. He's really progressed in his holding. Everybody recognized. I can't believe it wasn't a bigger scandal at Cliff. He'll be dead in a year. My boss was on an international trip with him, in Europe or something. The phone rang in the office, and I was like, "Oh, Mr. President." Henry, he was like, "He's safe there." He's like, "No, he's traveling with you. He's on the same trip that you are." A couple weeks ago, I was the last one in the office, and he called from my boss. And so I picked the phone and said, "Hello, Mr. President, it's Henry on Jake's phone. He's left for the day, but I can try to get him on the line for you." And he asked me some questions, and I was like, "I don't know, let me get the track him down. I'll call his Secret Service detail." It's I'll try his unclassified phone. Then 10 seconds later, same phone. I picked it up again. I was like, "Hi again, it's Henry." He was like, "Is Jake there?" And I was like, "No, you called the same office." Another time my boss went in to brief him, I had heard the talking points. I said "Oh, this is a novel phenomenon or something. It's new, it hasn't been done before." My boss said it. I was just novel? What do you mean, a book? You mean novel? The two meanings of the word novel, he lost that. We're also kind of concerned about them coming after us. They'd investigate us or whatever.
So you have people that are talking that they're doing this weekend at Burn Weekend at Bernie's thing with Joe Biden. And on the flip side of this, you have Trump, and he's, you know, he's not even in office yet. And he's kind of like America's already go-to guy, because it's like, if Biden's not going to be talking, then whoever's on TV the most, Trump, people are going to listen to.
And I think they'd be better off saying what it is our military knows and our president knows. And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense. I can't imagine it's the enemy, because if it was the enemy, they'd blast it out. Even if they were late, they'd blast it. Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people, and they should.
Do you have any reason to think they're a threat?
Two quick questions.
Got it. Sir, as the author of the UAP amendment in the 2024 National Defense Authorization Act, you, among anybody, should be calling these what they are. We don't know they're drones, correct? They are UAPs. Why? Why aren't they being called UAPs?
Because we don't know if there are UAPs. We don't know what they are. That's what we're trying to find out.
Identified, of course.
Nobody knows what they are. We have to find out.
Senator,
yes.
U.S. military drones?
We don't believe we do not believe they are U.S. military drones, or the military would have told us that.
Why haven't precautions been taken sooner? Why now? Why haven't precautions?
Well, all of a sudden, they're in the skies all over the place, and so we got to find answers, and then the legislation will provide much more authority as to where and when drones can fly. Right now, there is no authority to that, because there are so many hobbyists and everybody else who flies drones. So
yesterday, a guy posted on Reddit and claimed he knew why there was drones in the sky. Wait until you see this. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying this is true. I'm simply reporting on a post that was made on Reddit. Radar guy here, I know who is operating the drones. 25-year-old, or a year rather, radar operator for a major agency here. Just thought I'd let you all know what has been going on these past few weeks. The drones are part of a military drill being conducted by Space Force. Everything is on a need-to-know basis, which is why there's so much confusion. What gets me concerned, and why I had to make this post, is that something big is about to go down. I happen to know that there are additional full lockout drills that are scheduled to take place between now and Christmas Eve. Okay, so if that happens, that will be crazy, and this guy would have predicted that or known about it before it happened. These operations involve the full turnover of all radio/radar and aircraft communications to the military for several hours at a time. In conjunction with that, there are also scheduled satellite launches off the books, which have been occurring since October. They're setting up some kind of big show for the public very soon. Holy shit, if this is true. CNN was even at our facility shooting pre-roll footage for a future story. CNN, come on. I don't know exactly what's going on, but all I know is this: get ready. Okay, so could be totally fake. But I mean, come on, how could there be 100 freaking drones flying around, or thousands of them, and the government not know who they are, what they're doing, the military's, I don't know, man. Something is strange here.
Computers don't make errors. What they do on purpose. By now, your name and particulars have been fed into every laptop, desktop, mainframe, and supermarket scanner that collectively make up the global information conspiracy, otherwise known as the Beast.
The drones over New Jersey, clearly not drones. They held congressional hearings yesterday. FBI, Homeland Security, military, everybody. The only thing to take away from all that is they all say they don't know what they are. The Coast Guard documented and saw 50 of these things coming out of the ocean, following the boat for a little while, going inland, and then returning back into the ocean. So that's wild. And now there are all kinds of photos and videos. Check this out. That's what they're getting on high telephoto lens from multiple people, regular people and the government. That's what they look like. That is not a drone. And that is not the only one. They are, I don't think they're vehicles anymore. Check out this one, this video. This thing looks like something out of Close Encounters of the Third Kind or something right out of the Bible. Looks like a wheel within a wheel. And let's take a look at what a wheel within a wheel. If you don't know, that is stated many times in the Bible. Here, like this one. And in artworks from all across time. I have a degree in art, three-dimensional art. To get that, 2 years of art history. We studied a lot of these in art history. I remember a lot of these different drawings and paintings from art history. They were never spoken of as UFOs. They always had religious context put around them, like how a lot of people are saying this is spiritual. There is a telepathic end to this going on. What is this coming from? And one thing that I've just picked up on, Google's new quantum chip. They turned that on not long ago. And in the article where they were talking about what it did, they said it was so incredibly fast that they could only speak to that it's pulling information from parallel universes and the multiverse, which is more parallel universes. That is what Google said about their new quantum chip, a computer chip. We've crossed a technology level and repeatedly. But now, evidently, we've probably crossed into something. There is all sci-fi, every single movie. Hollywood has zero creativity in them. Every single one of those movies is probably based on some piece of real information. Gene Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek, he said he didn't create that. That dude said that some being showed up in his living room one night and told him he was going to create this show, Star Trek. Laid it all out for him. He says the Prime Directive, all of it, the Federation, all of that kind of, that they told him that's how it was going to be. And I don't know if you ever watch any of that. Star Trek First Contact, they say, they light up the first warp engine and you got aliens the next day that show up. So what do we got going on? Who knows? Who knows? But evidently nobody knows. So you better prepare yourself, watch yourself some sci-fi movies, because 2025 is going to get wild. Good luck.
Be in my think hole. Yuck. My do. Yeah.
This is new, and there's been so many novel new things that have been occurring back to back to back. And I would say that the biggest novel thing that has occurred recently in recent times is AI. And I think it was yesterday, I had watched, and someone was floating around the idea that this was AI, that just like how it has built itself, and now it has released itself, and now it's observing us. Which is crazy, because it's when I was doing the research for the AI to find out more information about AI related to drones and things like that. I went down a huge rabbit hole last night, because some people will, what do they say, where they see the future by throwing bones or reading tea leaves or something like that, which is basically just something, you do something and then you interpret it. So my bones or tea leaves is The Simpsons. I use The Simpsons to learn how to, and there's this crazy thing that it would seem, I don't know if it seems crazy to other people, but it's what I do. Just like with the Florida Man thing, you can type in any date and type in Florida Man, and it'll give you some crazy story or something that applies. And it seems that like just every single day of the year, there's a Florida Man incident or something like that. You can do the same things with The Simpsons if you want to read the tea leaves, so to speak. So I did that, and I did Simpsons drone episode. I kept it real simple. Simpsons drone episode. So the episode that popped up was Paths of Glory, and I don't know if a lot of people, if anyone remembers that episode. It was like season 27. This is like 2015, and in the episode, Lisa is uncovering something to right some wrong that happened to some woman who was thrown into an asylum, but she was like this awesome woman. So it was like a conspiracy thing uncovering for Lisa. But then as the episode goes on, the only thing notable about the episode was that Bart was suspected of being a psychopath and was immediately picked up by the U.S. Air Force to fly drones. And anyway, he's got a real knack for it, and he's like blowing up buildings. He's doing this. He's like really kicking butt. And then the general or the commander or the sergeant or whoever's leading this platoon of children, which they've recruited more children that are now flying drones, thinking it's a video game, and it is. But he tells all the kids, "You're great soldiers, and this entire exercise was real, and that these drones and everything, it wasn't a game, it was all for real." And immediately Bart feels remorse, and there was a really funny line where the woman that was with the general said something like, does any of the other children feel like the human boy feel? It would just showed a real detachment from humanity. But it was funny. So they kicked Bart out of the program because he feels guilt. And then the only thing significant from that was that they announced, they were saying that they told Bart the first thing was not real. So when we told you were killing people, it wasn't real. So anyway, that was the only thing notable. But the rabbit hole that I went down had to do with the writer of this episode. This writer, his name is Michael Ferris, and he has written another episode of The Simpsons, and it's From Russia with Love, which is another episode. I'm not going to read too much into that. But the most notable thing about Michael Ferris is that he wrote Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. Now, I know what you're thinking. I thought we were talking about drones. You're getting real conspiratorial here, talking about this sort of stuff. So obviously I needed a break. I had been watching drone footage all day. I was trying to get, the newest and the latest news, just so that I could make kind of an informed, crazy decision about what I think about the drones, put it on this video, and then put it to rest. Obviously I was thinking, okay, Terminator 3, Skynet, things like that. And so all the drone videos that I was watching, I started thinking, is this AI? Is this possible? Could this be AI? And so here's what I did. I tried to watch Terminator 3, Rise of the Machine. Couldn't get access to it anywhere. I couldn't even buy it. I was looking on all the streaming platforms and everything like that. I ironically didn't check YouTube. Anyway, so when I couldn't watch Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, I decided to watch Terminator Genesis. And this movie came out, I don't know when it came out, but it was, the whole movie's about a software AI. Basically, it's a software AI that's like an AI assistant, and it's being delivered to billions of people, and it's being released in and this is in the movie Terminator Genesis. It's being released in 2017, and so they travel through time. Kyle Reese and Linda Hamilton, not Linda Hamilton. It was the girl from Game of Thrones. Anyway, they travel to time because in 2017, this program was being released on the social thing, and it was meant to make the world a better place. It was intended to make the world a better place. But in fact, Genesis was a Trojan container for Skynet, which would eventually, enslave humanity and all that stuff. The key things that I thought was kind of interesting about the Genesis thing was in the movie, when they're like on the eve of launching this thing, Genesis, the CEO makes an announcement. He says, "We just reached 1 billion subscribers," and it was like, yeah, on the eve of this Genesis launch. And I thought it was interesting because just recently, ChatGPT announced that they expect to hit their 1 billion subscriber mark in January 2025, if they haven't hit it already, and they were released in 2017. Not reading too much into it, not making major life decisions over my crazy thoughts, but I just think it's weird how life imitates art, and there's like this mirror thing that's happening right now where the type of media and things that we put out there send back this reflection in reality. So anyway, it got me thinking about ChatGPT a little bit, and it got me thinking about Sam Altman.
Are you concerned at all about, any apocalyptic type of risks? I mean, there's kind of a cohort in Silicon Valley that's very worried about what AI could do to humanity. Does that concern you at all?
For sure. I think it's going to be fine. I also think it's like very bad thinking to not take the apocalyptic downside very seriously. I am more optimistic than I used to be that we can get through this. But I think just saying like, oh, don't worry about it, it's going to be fine is a very bad strategy. I'm like super proud of the safety team and the policy team that we have at OpenAI. And there's like very good technical work to do. We're doing some of it. Others are doing some. We should probably all do more about how we build these systems in a way where they're very human aligned.
How can we have some sort of way for people to feel confident that technical experts are taking those necessary safety, kind of given the, consequences of potential mistakes? Or do you think, people should be able to just trust?
No, I don't. I think there has to be government inspection.
I remember an interview with him, and he was talking to, I can't remember who he was talking to, but the quote was, what he said was, when artificial intelligence reaches a certain level, he goes, it will feel like an alien landing. And I remember even back when he said this in interviews, I thought that's exactly what it is. This is a new species. This is new. This is novel. This is crazy. Has anything like AI ever happened before on Earth? I would have to say that at some point in time, AI has happened. The universe is it appears to be too old. I would have to assume that AI is existing. Other AIs are existing. In regards to the drones, people are saying this is AI. This is some sort of launch. This is why the drones are not responding when people, because it's an AI. It doesn't have to respond. It's up there, and it just kind of came online, and maybe it's wanting to look at us. But as far as this AI technology stuff goes, I know that when AI is officially out of our control, and it will get out of our control,
my worst fears are that we cause significant harm to the world. I think that could happen in a lot of different ways. It's why we started the company. I think if this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong. And we want to be vocal about that. We want to work with the government to prevent that.
There's no chance that I feel, and I'm not a professional. Like I said, I'm just a guy in a chair.
It's against a guy in a chair. Excuse me. Yes.
At a certain point, AI will grow bigger than our hands can handle, and this is due to how AI works, and it's something that develops exponentially, and I was thinking about this recently, and it got me thinking about Albert Bartlett's. I don't know if you know Albert Bartlett, but he was a physics professor, and he was real famous for teaching exponential. He was real critical of people that didn't in fact, there was a quote that he said, just to give you an idea of this guy before I tell you how he explains exponential growth, which is what I think will eventually happen with AI anyways, and I don't know if the drones are a part of it. He said, and I quote,
"The greatest shortcoming of the human race is our inability to understand the exponential function."
Retired physics professor Al Bartlett has devoted his life to injecting rational, scientific discipline into our beliefs about population and economic growth.
If you have bacteria, and they grow by doubling, and one bacterium divides to become 2, the 2 divided become 4, and the 4 become 8, 16, so on. Now that's steady growth, just ordinary growth. And if they double in number every minute, and if you have just one bacterium in a bottle, empty bottle at 11 in the morning, and then if you observe that the bottle's full at 12 noon, then you've got a case of steady growth in a finite environment. And at what time was the bottle half full? And so you'll get answers like 11:30. No, this is steady growth. It doubles in number every minute. It'll be half full at 1 minute before 12. And the second question, if you were an average bacterium in that bottle, at what time would you first realize that you were running out of space? At 12 noon, the bottle's full. 1 minute before it's half full. 2 minutes before it's a quarter full. Then an eighth and a 16th. Let me ask you, at 5 minutes before 12, and the bottle's only 3% full, and is 97% open space just yearning for development, how many of you would realize that there was a problem?
If happens with AI, it'll happen fast. It'll be a total AI takeover would happen, I would assume, in a matter of days, not probably some long drawn out. But again, I'm just a guy in a chair.
Oh, and Francine? Don't say it.
So the only personal experience that I have with drones, I've seen all these videos and everything, but as far as me, like I've only ever seen a drone in person once in my life. In fact, I saw 2 drones at the same time. And when I say drones, I don't mean like drones that you see at a dog park or something like that with something like this. I mean like these were aerial phenomena type things that I couldn't explain and never really told anyone about. But it all happened on one night. I was outside late at night, and I heard this. At the time, we lived on a cul-de-sac, and it was in the middle of the night, and I heard this like throbbing, ba ba ba, this sound, this like whoa 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 sound, but it was real faint. And I'm a night owl anyway, so I'm like looking for any reason to go out and walk around in the driveway. And so I go outside and I look up and I don't see anything, and I hear the sound, but then I see, like, it almost looked like the absence of something. So it was like a silhouette. There felt like there was a mass, and I would say that this thing was no more than 200 yards, but it was directly above my cul-de-sac. And so immediately I had my phone on me because I had headphones in. I was listening to music and stuff like that. So I took my phone out and I pointed it up, and it was over the roof, over into the cul-de-sac. And right when I started holding the camera up, there started to become flashes all over in the air. These real like pop, 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 pop. But they didn't make a sound, but they... if you saw the flash, it almost like you could infer like a sound to go with it, even though there was an absence of sound. I don't know how to explain it. It was like a reverse pop. But there was obviously this mass, this triangle-shaped mass that was floating over the cul-de-sac. And then there was this crazy little ball that I couldn't imagine be more than a foot and a half, like just a really big beach ball maybe. But this thing was moving faster than the bright ball was moving faster than anything I'd ever seen before. Like, I mean, it zipped around like someone had a laser up there. Trust me, it wasn't a laser. But it was flashing on this object, and what I saw up in the sky was this triangular shaped object making no sound, and it was fairly close to where I could see it. It just started slowly kind of rotating, and this like ball, this glowing ball, was kind of flashing at it, almost like paparazzi taking pictures at it. And this thing's just rotating on its axis. And so I pulled my phone out and I took one picture, and there was no flash. And then I set my phone to flash and then took another picture. And it was, at first I didn't see anything, but then someone told me to check the brightness on it. And when I did, I saw this triangular shaped, and you could very clearly see lights on it. And then you could even see the flash, but you cannot make any sort of shape distinction in the flash. It just looks like a flash in the sky. But in this picture, when you change the brightness and intensity and things like that, you can see that I'm pointing up, and you can actually see where a roof line is and tree line. And then the only thing weird that happened when I was taking these pictures was I took one picture, there was no flash, I got that picture you could see, And then immediately I took another picture with the flash, and you can see the roof line and you can see the trees and everything. The only difference is the time. I remember taking these pictures back to back. I don't remember ever waiting an hour or so in between. I took these pictures back to back. Just why would I take one picture and then stand there? I don't remember that. I wasn't on anything or anything like that. I just was, I just took two pictures and this is what it turned out. So maybe my phone malfunctioned, something like that. But that always seemed really weird to me, and I always hoped that the kind of conclusion that I've come to with the drones, and again, this is just mine. This isn't, I'm not trying to put, there's literally no one watching my show. I'm recording this right now, just thinking that I'm going to be watching this, but it's taking all of my thoughts and it's putting it somewhere, because we're gonna talk about the drones again. They're not going to go away. These drones are here, and I feel like we're on, my gut is telling me that we're on the threshold of something, and I know that it has felt like that for a long time, but I don't know what else it's supposed to look like. It just feels that way, and then it just happens one day. I hope I'm wrong about that, definitely. I don't know. It kind of feels like end of days or something, but I feel like there's a couple elements at play. There's reasons why people are saying not all the drones are the same. And some of the drones, they don't look human. I mean, do I think that we're dealing with advanced technology? 100%. I feel like what we're looking at in the sky is advanced technology, for sure. Just with the sheer fact that when other drones try to get near them, they're just falling out of the sky. And people are trying to view them with their own eyes, are trying to view these drones, and they're literally turning from this like amorphous blob, and then they turn into this very mechanical looking drone. So it's weird that there's such a large community on YouTube and TikTok and places like that where people they talk about skinwalkers and things like that, about, oh yeah, there's definitely creatures that can shapeshift and reptilians and all this other stuff. But like, why couldn't some sort of organic nanotube technology, why couldn't it look like just a drone from the 21st century? Especially if you were from like the 24th century and you were so far advanced. I mean, our stuff wouldn't be hard to replicate. So anyway, my final, as far as like trying to figure this out and just for posterity of myself, of what I think is going on. I'll tell you what I don't think. I don't think I think that maybe it could have to do with biblical prophecies and end times and Revelation. This is all playing a part in that. However, in New Jersey, I don't feel like what we're seeing is angels and demons and things like that. In my experience, it's just not, granted, I'll say that some of the videos, like where you had the wheels and the spinning and the lights and all that stuff, yeah, the Bible describes stuff just like that. But I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't there when that person wrote that. I was trying to figure out, is there some sort of invasion happening? And I feel that something is imminent. I don't know yet if it's an invasive feeling that I feel like something, but I definitely feel like something is imminent, like a threshold is about to be crossed, that there's no going back, that once this happens, then the only way out is forward. That's what my gut is telling me as far as that goes. Now, do I think that all these drones are directly affiliated with AI? I have a strong feeling, like I have like a 50% feeling that there's drones up there that are being run automatically. And that's part of the reason why they're not necessarily responding to certain things because they're drones and they're running on some sort of like maybe like a search type drone or something like that is deployed automatically when, say, a certain signature is detected and they're deployed. Now this one is a big one because a lot of people are throwing this out there, and like I really tried to stay grounded, but do I think a psyop is occurring? I do. And I don't know what it is. I feel like there's so many cover-ups right now.
Did you see this thing that the Biden administration pushed through, this new martial law thing?
Yeah.
This is very disturbing. Jamie, please Google this so we can find out what the actual law states. But it's DOD Directive 5240.01, giving the Pentagon power for the first time in history to use lethal force to kill Americans on U.S. soil who protest government policies.
What are they expecting?
5250.01, sounds right?
Is that what it is?
No, sorry.
Did I tell you what it is? I'm sorry. 5240.01, DOD directive. This is from RFK Jr. Posted this on Twitter, and I'm finding out about it because people are blowing me up about it. That's fucking terrifying. That is a terrifying thing to push through for the first time in U.S. history, giving the military the ability to shoot and kill American citizens.
That's crazy, too. And it's interesting because, you know, with the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act and stuff like that, it's almost like they kind of, in a weird way, just make it legal what they're already doing.
What is that, the Smith Modernization Act?
The Smith-Mundt Modernization Act that Obama pushed through, which basically made it so it was legal for the U.S. government to use propaganda against its citizens, which they were already doing in different ways through CIA and all that stuff. So it sounds like we can legally do it. You can't sue us now.
How crazy is it that it's legal to lie?
How crazy is that?
It's legal for the government to not just legally lie, but they can concoct completely fabricated stories just to push a narrative if they decide that it's in the best interest of national security or whatever.
There's so much stuff that's being exposed because of social media, because there's nowhere to hide anymore on the planet. Someone can find you. Someone can find you. So all the stuff that was done in the dark and all these people that were doing terrible things behind closed doors, it's all out. So there's very rich people right now that need distractions in the world. And I have no doubt that they would use military technology to get out of things. Do I necessarily think that this was began as a psyop? I don't believe that it may not have began as a psyop. I think that it's more possible that a psyop was deployed in response to an event occurring, such as when this happens, this is what is now in place. And we definitely know that the FBI is involved. I mean, there's the NYPD. They just showed a drone that they had caught. I believe it was last night that they had caught a drone. And when I first saw it, I immediately knew. I was like, that's federal. It's a federal drone. There was no identifiable markings on it, but the technology and the way that it looked is of it. Do I think they're up there do I think that the feds are up there? No, I think that they're up there trying to look at these other drones. The reason why the NYPD has that drone is because they drove over it. So whatever the FBI was trying to look at, it disabled their drone. And they paid really good money for that drone. But in the stuff, the maneuvers and the stuff that the drones that are no one knows what they are, the maneuvers are crazy. But the most crazy thing about them is that they're not making a sound and they're staying up there for hours, which totally defies battery life. I mean, I can barely get through the Joker on my iPad without my battery going dead. So to keep a large drone, especially like some of the drones where they were, it looked like they were spraying something. There was some sort of column exhaust or something like that. I don't know what that was, but I mean, there would have had to have been some sort of material in there. I don't know. It's very fishy. So is there a psyop occurring? Possibly. And is there a cover-up occurring? Definitely. I definitely think that somewhere there's a cover-up occurring. Now, the craziest, this is the most like extreme, least grounded, was, I'm just kind of parroting what Ryan Graves talked about on Joe Rogan, where they were talking about, is it possible that a warhead or some sort of device like that, which there are some that are unaccounted for, is it possible that that's what the drones are looking for, that they were deployed because they're looking for, I believe it's like a gamma signature or something like that. They're looking for something. And that's why anyone who tries to come up to them, they have the technology, the advanced technology to keep things from seeing them or whatever, are getting close to them. And that's why the government is not like shooting them down or attacking them, is because the big thing is that the cover-up is they do not want people to know that there's possibly something like loose like that. They want to find it before they cause any mass hysteria. And I get that, but I mean, you're talking to an American public that just got like maximum riled up during the elections, and now you're telling us to just be calm and let y'all investigate? No. Like, the days of like patience, this isn't the DMV anymore where people are just gonna take it. Like, people are pissed. But then on the other hand, I don't know if I would tell people either if there was something, but if there's a threat to the public, I don't know. That's my most wildest speculation. Actually, my most wildest speculation is that there's a lot of drones up there because there are time traveling aliens. This is crazy theory. This is crazy. There are aliens, and they're coming to observe because we're on the eve of a major event, and it's almost like they're not tourists, but they're coming to just watch and see how this all went down, because they can't seem to piece things together, but because of where they're from, they have access to be able to slide back to certain dates and times and show up. And they're just basically, the drones are here to tell people or to tell them in the future, or tell whoever that it's getting close to, whatever. They're just keeping an eye on things, but they're observing something because they know something is historically about to happen. That's my craziest theory. Second craziest theory is that there's something loose, and that the drones are looking at it, and people are trying to explore these drones, and more people are putting drones up in the sky. But the drones are in the sky because they're looking for something. I'm starting to see now that it doesn't matter what new stuff is coming out. All that matters, the key moments of this, is that they're here. It's here. Let me say it's here. There's a threshold here. There's a threshold here that we're about to cross over as Americans, as people. There's a threshold that we're about to cross over here where there's no going back. And that's crazy.